Hey friends, so welcome to this new video where I'm going to talk about the hard truth behind working in healthcare and work-life balance. I'm going to talk about my journey to understand what work-life balance meant to me, why it's so hard to achieve work-life balance in healthcare, and strategies that actually worked for me and continue to do so now. So why is it so hard to get work-life balance as a healthcare worker? The first point is that it's so difficult to even realize that we don't have work-life balance. I remember when I first graduated that I was so excited to finally start working in healthcare, finally start in working in hospital, that I was so keen to learn lots, taking lots of little things, little projects, because for me it was finally achieving what I worked so hard for. And so I was taking on a lot more than I could handle. The second point is that I genuinely think that we are people pleasing as healthcare workers, and don't lie to yourself, I think we are. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. Personally, I think we went into healthcare because we are caring people. We are people who want to help others, but that means that a lot of the time and almost always put others first rather than ourselves. And there's a huge sense of self-sacrificing. And the third point is the actual job. We're surrounded by trauma, disease, death, emergency situations, when we have to remain calm and emotionally suppressed to control these emotions. There's also that sense of expectations from others. We don't want to look incompetent to staff, even less to patients, that we really suppress further these emotions. And for those who say you chose this, I personally think it's one of the worst things you can say to a healthcare worker, because we went to healthcare when we were probably at the age of 16. We didn't really know the nuances of working in the NHS and what it really meant. And further to that, there's that all your colleagues are in the same boat, and there's that group dynamic, and it becomes normality. What I'm trying to say is we are emotionally suppressed. This is why it's so hard to even realize that we don't have that work-life balance, and that it takes a huge hit. And then, even if you manage to realize that you don't have work-life balance, it's also really hard to achieve working in healthcare. So you do all this shift work, 7-day working, on-calls, weekends. There's very little control over your schedule, and there's also no routine, or it's really hard to get routine because of that shift pattern. On top of that, there's the fatigue of the actual job, and the little time off that you have, you spend it going out with friends, drinking potentially, and you just repeat the cycle. But also, what actually is work-life balance? What does it mean to you? What my work-life balance is not going to be the same as you. If you add the fact that it's difficult to realize, difficult to achieve, and that you don't know what work-life balance is for you, then it's going to be really tricky. And so this is really the aim of this video, where I'm going to share some tools which will help you realize what work-life balance is for you and prioritize what really matters in your life and make it meaningful. Before moving on, I'd love to hear from you. What's something you relate the most with? Share it in the comments below, please. Okay, so I'd like to introduce you 2 tools that have helped me define what work-life balance means to me and how to prioritize what matters for me. If you could hit the like and subscribe button, it will help me grow and get credibility, which will be awesome. The first tool is called the Wheel of Life. And it's a visual tool which was created by Paul Meyer in the 60s, and it helps you assess how satisfied you are in different areas of your life from 1 to 10. So for example, romance, family and friends, health, finances, business, career. You need to assess where you are right now. So again, from 1 to 10, and then you need to then assess where you want to be. So for example, for me, I'm a point of burnout in red. This is where I am now. And then the little star in blue there is where I'd like to be. So for me at the moment is that I would like to spend more time with my family. So therefore the Wheel of Life helps you find out where to put your efforts at that point in time, and what to prioritize again at that point in time. Now, the second tool is slightly more complex, and it's called the Value Compass. It's used in psychology and in therapy, and it helps clients reconnect with their core values. For example, what makes their life meaningful, and provides them with a direction in which they want to head to. So it's got 10 categories, and I invite you to pause the video at each and think for yourself. For example, for family, what kind of relationship do you want to have with your family? How do you want to be in those relationships? In your couple, intimate relations, what kind of partner you want to be? What sort of partnership do you want to build? Parenting, what sort of parents do you want to be? What qualities do you want your children to see? Friendship and social, what sort of friends do you want to be? Employment and career, what kind of work is important to you? What qualities do you bring to your work? And what work relationships do you want to build? Education and personal growth, what skills would you like to develop? What matters to you the most? How do you like to grow as a person? Recreation-wise, how would you like to enjoy yourself? When do you feel the most playful? What relaxes you? Spirituality, what kind of relationships with God, nature, earth do you want? Citizenship and community, what kind of community do you want to be part of? How do you often contribute to your community? And then lastly, physical well-being, how important is your health to you? How do you want to look after yourself? What kind of physical activity you enjoy? Once you have a better understanding of each category for yourself, what they mean to you, you're then going to rank them from 1st to 10th, the most important to you at the moment to the least. And I'd like to remind you that ranking last does not mean you don't care about the category, but it means that it's less important for you at this point in time. So the value compass gives you insight into what actually matters to you in your life. And then in combination with the wheel of life, you can now prioritize what matters to you at that point in time according to what will make it meaningful. It really gives you a purpose, and it's very powerful to feel motivated and consequently achieve and maintain your work-life balance. So now you're probably going to ask me, how often do I need to do this? And I see work-life balance as time sensitive. So work-life balance is like physical exercise. It's something that needs regular work to achieve but also maintain. What I tend to do is like an annual review. So instead of yearly resolutions, which in my view don't really work, I like to set where my direction is for this year. And I appreciate things can change very quickly within a year, so doing it 6 monthly could be also a very good idea. So in summary, as a new graduate and even a few years later, you will feel very keen to learn, and you should, because it's so exciting to finally achieve what you worked so hard for at school. But it's also so important to look after your own well-being. I've learned to be aware that as a healthcare worker, I am caring by nature, and likely to be a people pleaser, that I most likely put others first and not myself, with the exhaustion of the job and the fact that I will be emotionally suppressed and need to reflect regularly on my priorities in life. So the Wheel of Life and Value Compass are tools that will help you with that. And I'm going to put links in the description below so you can download, do it in your own time, have the templates. If this was helpful, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. And if you're feeling extra nice, please share with all your healthcare friends. On that note, I'll see you in the next video.